Hello, everybody. Welcome to Frame Trap. I got a special treat for you. The boys at the end there, Michael Huber.
Yo.
Next to him, Bradley Ellis.
Hello.
And I am your host, Ben Moore. For the opening, I'm going back to the well. I feel like I've asked this question before, at least with fast food, but
Nice.
I want to know if you have a go-to, not fast food, but with restaurant. Go-to restaurant and a go-to order at that restaurant.
P.F. Chang's Chicken.
What is Chang's Chicken? Because
Like
I don't know
spicy,
what that is.
spicy,
yeah.
spicy chicken.
Okay, is it like Kung Pao, basically?
No, it's like a little sweeter. It's like a sweet spice.
Okay.
Yeah. Kung Pao is just kind of like a hot spice, you know?
Okay.
It's more like a sweet.
Are you a sweet spice kind of guy?
I love all spice. I love
okay.
spicy
I
food.
do as well.
Yeah.
I do as well. Okay.
But, Chang's Chicken's it's my number one
It's
favorite
good,
item.
yeah, definitely.
Damn, I haven't had P.F. Chang's in a hot minute, and I've never had that. So I
Yeah, it's
like
like,
a
dude,
staple.
Ben, it'll change your life.
it'll change my life.
Yeah, you'll be obsessed. I know you. You'll be obsessed. You'll be like, this is so damn good.
Okay.
All the listeners
Yeah.
out there.
Life
Yeah,
changing.
it's life-changing.
Chang.
It's my
Life-changing
number
Chang.
one food item. I'm not even kidding.
in out of all
like,
food.
like for my birthday, whatever it may be, take me there. I'm getting
Fuck,
that.
man, I might get that tonight.
It's
Jesus.
so good. Yep. I
Holy
cannot
shit.
hype that enough, honestly.
That's awesome. I don't go to restaurants that often,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm not the best person to ask this. But one I did frequent a lot was this fast food, or not fast food, restaurant chain called Islands. I don't know if you ever had it.
This is Hawaiian, right?
It's like Hawaiian themed.
The Hawaiian
think-
joint.
I think like many years ago. I
Yeah,
had
you
it.
see it. You see the. I like it because
be
you
wrong.
see an Islands restaurant and it looks like an Islands restaurant. It looks
Yeah.
tropical, looks
Yeah.
inviting. Unfortunately, the one by me and Huber just shut down. That had been there like our entire life is gone.
Our
now,
entire life.
which sucks.
That does suck.
But I would frequent there a lot and get this thing called a pipeline burger, which is a chili cheeseburger.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice.
And if I was
okay.
feeling a little zesty, get some cheese fries.
Yeah. Oh man, I love me some cheese fries. Huber, you made me think about, and no one outside of a very like small percentage of people are gonna know what this is. But speaking of places that were around my whole life and are now closed, best Chinese I ever had.
Yeah.
Only in Cedar Rapids, called Pays, shut down.
Oof.
Pandemic wiped it out.
Damn it.
Best Chinese I ever had. It was. You'd go there.
There's
and
nothing better,
They'd
dude.
bring you hot tea,
Oh.
and you'd get the most delicious egg drop
Was,
soup.
was it a
great.
mom and pop
Damn
place?
It was
or-
a mom and pop
Yeah,
place.
we had some
Dang.
mom and pops, like China's.
Mm.
Used to be one of my faves, and it just got hit.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the worst.
Yeah, it was on the west side of town. They did open one on the east side of town. That one didn't last very long.
Damn
The
it.
west side
Dude.
one. West side one went away. But yeah, that was good. Mine is going to surprise no one if you've been following for a long time. But my favorite food, or at least it's up there, right? Sujita Annex, Sukumen with the soft-boiled egg.
Yeah.
Put some onikasu in
Pretty
it.
impossible to beat.
Pretty impossible. So you've had it as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Death
Have
Row,
you had
last
sushi?
meal.
Yeah, I've been
Okay,
there
okay.
with you at least once.
Okay.
But it was a while ago.
I go there all the time, so it's
was like
it's all a blur.
Probably game trailer days or something.
Oh yeah.
Feels like.
Man, we should get the allies up and out there again.
Hell yeah.
If they have seating open.
Yeah, it's a tiny
parking.
fucking
Or parking,
place.
yeah.
Yeah, you can park in the parking garage that's like down the street.
On the radio, it's funny. They were like joking about the pandemic. It's not a joking matter, but they were like, yeah, the only good thing about the pandemic was plenty of parking. And that's like strictly an LA joke.
Yeah.
Like nowhere on earth can like get in that mindset
Free parking.
of like, yeah.
Well, I have to imagine like other like probably San Francisco.
Any
New
like
York.
city,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah, man, that's something that always blows my mind going back to the Midwest, where it's like, oh yeah, I could just park anywhere. It's free,
Yeah.
and it's like, I mean, not never, right? But a
Yeah.
lot of times it's just.
But
an
like you
hassle.
can go out somewhere
you can go out somewhere,
and no,
yeah.
you don't have to pay for parking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ah, man, like the mall right by my place, huge parking, like gigantic parking.
Plenty
You go
of
there-
spots,
You
like
go there
20
on the,
bucks.
You go there on the weekend and it's full. It's
Yeah.
a gigantic parking lot. This is full. It's like, what the hell is going on? All right, enough LA talk. I am really fucking stoked to talk to you about this because I haven't dived into it, but you've been really into it. I knew you were going to be into it. And Damiani's been really into it as well, which I wasn't expecting. And that's Rogue Legacy 2.
Mm-hmm. Goatee.
Really, Goatee?
Goatee caliber, yes.
Goatee caliber, yes.
Goatee
okay.
caliber,
So,
easily 100%. If I was reviewing
Yeah.
this game, I'm like 9.5, 10. I'm not even joking around.
we did a preview of it, and my memory is definitely hazy of that preview, but I walked away being like, yeah, it's more Rogue Legacy, which is awesome, because I really loved Rogue Legacy 1. But what makes this such an improvement?
More.
Okay.
More. Not only more, but so much more and more refined. So not only are you just getting a lot more, but everything else is so finely tuned. This is one of the most finely tuned progression systems and economies I have ever seen in a game. It is so perfect. It's just non-stop dopamine, and it is this flawless combination of every single run you go on, whenever, you go on a run, it is incredible. It doesn't matter what class you are, what perks or traits you have, every run is incredible, and then that combined with long-term progression, investing in these upgrades, your castle, your equipment. So it's just this perfect balance of short-term and long-term fun.
See, I feel like that was true in the first one as well, because you would have these facilities that you would invest in, and you get payoffs over time. And so I guess dig into the refinement a little bit more, because there are new character classes, right?
Yeah, new character classes. You get mastery levels now. You can level up each class. When you level them up, you get permanent buffs for your crew. The hub area is really cool. There's a lot of character development going on. Not a lot of plot, I would say. There is a plot that you can discover in the zones by picking up documents and stuff. But then also at the hub, there's the blacksmith and the enchantress and some other characters. And each time you go back, sometimes you'll get some lore with them. And then there's another facility in there where you can do these time trials. That's a way to level up. You get this other reward currency that you can spend. You can spend that currency to unlock additional subclasses. Ben, I swear to God, you play this game for 30 hours and you're still finding something new. 30 hours later, I'm finding something new. And even that far in, 30 hours in, it's geez, I haven't been that class in so long. I hope I get it next time, because each run you go on, you get... It's I barely explain the game. It's Rogue Legacy. It's you get your characters in the beginning and you choose one, and each character is randomized. There's a bunch of different classes and they all have different weapons and perks. And then you go on a run through the levels. It's Metroidvania style. And then what you earn on that run, you can then spend at the castle to upgrade your stats, more damage, more health, unlocking other classes. You can also spend money on gear that you find in the dungeons. You find the blueprints, you bring those back, you find all these other rare materials. It's just non-stop collecting, but it still is so effortless and so flawless. It never feels like a chore or grind, and it never takes away from the fact that every second you're playing the game is fun. It's just unreal.
You said 30 hours in and you're still finding new stuff.
Yeah.
That's crazy, because I don't remember how much time I spent in the first one, but I feel like
I beat that one in 20-something hours.
yeah,
if
I feel
remember.
that's well beyond
yeah.
what it sounds like the sequel is offering, which is pretty crazy. Something that I didn't like about the first game, despite loving so much of it, is I felt like in one, I kind of was this is the class that I like, and would basically pick that or maybe one other thing most of the time, and I didn't feel like everything was equally valuable to me, right? And that comes down to playstyle and a bunch of things, I'm sure. But do you feel like in Rogue Legacy 2, you're kind of split between the classes a little bit more?
I definitely have a couple favorites, but they encourage you by having the mastery levels. So, for example, leveling up the ranged filth archer will give you strength. So what a nice, they see me, they know.
Yeah.
They know the strength players. Play the archer, get more strength. I definitely have a few favorites, but everything is so fun to play. All the classes are so different. There's a chef who can knock back projectiles. There's the ninja Ronin who if you attack them with the very tip of the blade, you do a crit. So it's all about that like spacing. They also have this cool dash. There's the Valkyrie, which has a really long reach and can attack multiple directions. The Barbarian has like a really strong overhand attack, but their jump attack is really tricky because they like spin with the blade. That's from the first game. And then just crazy ones like the Bard completely changes the game. You shoot out musical notes, and then you have to jump on those musical notes to send out a shockwave to do like AoE damage.
That sounds like awesome, but really hard to do in the moment.
It's so hard. It's so hard, but it can be nuts. And they like sing when you hit the notes, like, oh, hey, oh.
That's awesome.
The music is like my favorite soundtrack of the year. Hands down. Every track is a banger, like so addicting. Really cool bosses. I mean, this game, this is just, you sit down, you know the first one, Ben. The same situation where you start it, 3 days later, 30 hours later, you're like, all right, consumed that. Yeah. This game just is 10 out of 10 addicting.
Yeah, it seems like kind of the same thing happened to you and Damiani in terms of like it consuming you, and that's exactly how I remember the first one. As I was looking for an image for the thumbnail for this episode, because we're going to use Rogue Legacy 2, and I just saw like they were listing out different features of the game, and I just saw very briefly improved accessibility. And so I want to talk about that because Rogue Legacy 1, of course, but then even just my time with the early access of Rogue Legacy 2, extremely difficult, right? And so I can imagine that it's a level of difficulty that I imagine is only going to appeal to a certain subset of people. And so when I see something like improved accessibility, what does that mean based on your experience?
I mean, it's definitely still hard, for sure. I think the way they've added additional ways to level up, maybe with like mastery levels and these extra, just extra ways to upgrade your character. Like you can upgrade all this gear, you find the blueprints. So it feels like every time, no matter what, unless you like die instantly, which is like, there are perks where actually you die in one hit. But it feels like no matter what, every time you go on a run, you're bringing that back and getting stronger. You're getting gains. Like there's another thing. There's just countless ways.
So there's like no feeling of I wasted this run.
Correct.
Kind of thing?
You never feel like a run is wasted until maybe you're like insanely far and you die quick, and then you just like, oh, I didn't get an upgrade point that time. But like even you get the mastery levels, and that just like every time you level that up, your characters just get better stats. The more money you give, the safe your character gets better stats, or the boat keeper Karen. It's just like there's so many ways.
Harder to get stuck.
Yeah, there's like a training dummy at the base. You talk to the dummy. They tell you the mechanics of each class.
That's good.
So yeah, I think every single thing is just smoothed out and refined. A little harder to maybe get lost. Like haven't really seen any puzzles. I don't remember if that was ever a problem in the first one. I don't think so.
That puzzles. The thing that is coming to mind is like the crazy like challenges that you could do.
Yeah, so those are still optional and insanely hard, but like the rewards are so good. You get the runes for those. Yeah, and just the platforming is like, it's not like Super Mario Guacamelee, like insane Celeste need to nail every jump, but the platforming is so smooth. There's like the spin kick where you can leap off characters or the environment, air dashing. Just top to bottom. There's a blessing mechanic now. You have resolve. Depending on your equipment load, you get a certain amount of resolve. So if you wear heavy equipment, you get less resolve. Resolve can be spent on each run. You'll find items, and you can spend resolve on that. And some are super powerful, like your dash can go through projectiles.
Yes.
Or something chill, like you get 10% extra crit.
Yeah.
So just every run.
Hard to resist a crit build.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
So just long-term, short-term progression and fun on full display in Rogue Legacy 2. A $20 game with $200 worth of value.
That's pretty awesome.
Highest possible recommendation from me. 10 out of 10. Easy.
Because you got to pay like $40 for 30-year-old Sonic game.
Yeah. Exactly. $40 for Dawn of Ragnarok. Like, give me a break.
For the expansion, it's $40?
$40 for that thing.
Oh my god, that's evil.
That's my biggest hard no of the year so far.
It's
The
Dawn of
biggest stay away from is Dawn of Ragnarok. Yeah, stay away. If that thing was on sale for 20 half off, I'd still say stay away.
It's funny because I already have it because I bought the Ultimate Edition of Valhalla.
You're in.
Wait,
Maybe.
I was in. I think it was like next gen hype.
Yeah.
It was at its peak.
Yeah.
Totally.
Not that I'm not a sucker for that stuff anyway. I am, but yeah.
Next gen hype.
Next gen hype. Back to Rogue Legacy. Obviously, I feel like kind of one of the big like hooks of Rogue Legacy is like, you don't just have different classes that are randomized when you start a new run, but people have like super silly things about them, like you play upside down or just things like that.
Upside down.
And while I think that was cool and fun in Rogue Legacy, eventually it got to a point where it's like, I'm just not gonna do that. Like really trying to min-max to get yourself the best possible thing.
Yeah.
Are you more incentivized to pick crazy characters into?
For the grind. For the gold grind, because by picking those traits, you get the bonus gold. That's the Rogue Legacy trade-off is like, hey, do you want a debuff to make more gold on this run? And I think those accessibility options of making it a little easier, there's a perk where you can just like re-roll your starters, So like pretty early on, you can get one where it's like, okay, I get 6 choices here. I can choose usually one character that has like no debuffs, anything, and I can just play. Or, I can follow those like there's one, the Diva one, has the spotlight on you. Mm-hmm. Everything is dark. It's like impossible if you're a ranged hero with that one because the whole map is dark.
That just sounds impossible in general.
It's really hard, but you get a 60% or something huge.
Yeah.
So it's like, this time I'm going for it. I'm just going to make some cash, and then you can just bring all that back. There's so much to buy. Like, I think it is better this time around because the economy is so finely tuned that like still this deep in the game, and I'm a grinder, still this deep after all the grinding, like, yeah, go on a gold run.
Man. Goddamn, this sounds like an absolute must play.
It is a must
You're
play.
just bursting at the seams.
Oh my god. Must play.
I have a question about this.
Yeah.
So this game is about, like the genre repeating, getting stronger kind of thing. Does it feel like it leans in too hard on the aspect of we want you to die many times over gameplay wise because we want you to repeat these essentially like these upgrades are so important it feels like you have to get them?
No, never. It feels like so you do get that relief, that epic feeling of like, okay, now I'm over leveled, so these first zones are a little easier. The difficulty curve,
I feel like you need that.
You need that.
Yeah.
The difficulty curve has been so nice, Brad, where like if I guess because like you're trying to get to the boss room on a lot of these, a lot of your runs, and like you die. Like I've died so many times before I get there, but then every time I'm going back to base and just like, all right, we'll get some upgrades, run it again. Like I've never once in my life, still on this game, 30 plus hours in, not one time have I ever had the thought of like, I just want to get through this. Like no, replaying this over and over and over again. It like, because progressing the campaign is like as fun as maxing out your castle. And the only way you're going to max out your castle is by playing it for 1,000,000 times.
Yeah.
But it's like that like desire has not faded in the least for me wanting to pump that up.
Man, that's crazy because even masterpieces like Hades, I definitely got to a point where I'm like, I never need to fight that bone dragon ever again.
The bone dragon.
Like,
The bone dragon.
I know. I like. I've got the first area down. I don't need to do that
Yeah.
anymore. And so, I think even really good examples in the genre can definitely suffer from that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to play this part anymore.
For sure. To be fair, though, I may be somewhat dragging my feet on progressing all the way through because I imagine when I finally beat it, the desire to upgrade the castle will diminish a little bit.
Sure.
Because I've already finished it. So I'm just like
Purposefully
kind of taking it slow a little bit. But
Gotcha.
yeah, and I think the difficulty's right. It always feels like you have a chance You know, even if you get to a spot where it's
good.
like, yo, that boss felt way
that's
higher
good.
level than me, but like I still have a chance.
Yeah, my memory of going off memory on the first one, I really felt like its progression was pretty good. Like there were definitely spikes, but like
It's there.
You of course upgrading and things helped, but I didn't feel like that alone would carry me. Like I'd have to get better at the game, which I always appreciate, right?
Yes.
Like where
that's the thing I was hoping you would say.
Yes, absolutely. You always have a chance. Your skill will carry you far. Of course, there's some level stuff, you know. If you're leveled or maybe you got a really good build this time around, that roguelike element, which makes those runs more fun even, more high stakes. There's a little bit of that, but definitely skill will carry you.
I think that's like what I liked about Returnal in a lot of ways was, you know, the things you'd carry over were so small. Like there was some, but it was more about like you overcoming this on your ability alone.
Do you know how to play Returnal yet? Basically.
Yeah.
Can you dodge those bullets?
Yeah. Well, it sounds like super impressive the amount of balancing. Like how you're describing it to me sounds pretty crazy. The amount of balancing it would take for it to be really good.
It's crazy.
And they took their time with it.
Which is good. It's really good.
I thought about that last night. I wanted to do that, Ben. I wanted to praise early access. I just wanted to give it a shout out. Because in my early days, you know, I was so against it. So anti.
Yeah.
I still won't be on the early access journey all the way through myself. I like what we did trying it out on day one and then coming back. But I want to give a shout out to all the players of early access that gave feedback, that helped build this game out, and just the lessons learned from the devs like during that whole process.
Yeah.
Like clearly it worked perfectly.
Sometimes early access can be really bad.
Yeah.
But sometimes it can be really good.
I feel like
It was
over the
great.
years, though, people have figured out how to do it better. Like, you know, of course you're going to get...
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So good.
It's funny because these first three games that we're going to talk about, I feel like there's a lot of carryover in qualities. Like there's similar things that we could talk about. But Brad, you've been checking out Salt and Sacrifice, and it's interesting because we were talking about like during the meeting, we had an Easy Allies meeting. It's like, who wants to cover this? Do we want to do this? And a lot of us were kind of like, yeah, we weren't really into Salt and Sanctuary.
Yeah.
I think Isla had liked it the most out of everybody, but none of us were like jumping at it. But Brad, you kind of you eventually dove in. How you feeling about it?
So I've played like an hour and a half of this game.
Yeah.
And I don't feel excited to play it
Okay.
at all.
That is how I felt about the first one. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like- There's nothing like inherently wrong with it, I would say. It just doesn't feel right to me or look right to me. And it feels kind of like, I love these kind of like Souls, like I love Souls-like games, but it so far it doesn't feel special to me.
Sure.
Like where it's separating itself beyond the idea that it's like 2D, I guess.
Yeah, with the first Salt and Sanctuary, it just felt like a rougher version of something that I loved, and so it kind of led to the, well, why don't I just go play that?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I could totally see that.
Yeah.
Like to me, like right off the bat, like my impressions of playing this game, I have not beat the game, so who knows? My impressions could change. But right now I'm like, if you like the first game, you will like this game.
Sure.
If you did not like the first game, you probably won't like this game. It takes what the first game did, but just makes it a little bit better so far.
Okay.
Like I haven't figured everything out in this game yet. I'm still like trying to see what it's all about. I'm sure there's plenty of things I don't know about yet, but so far I haven't been impressed in like the field I was really curious about, which is combat. Like it's a 2D game. There's not as much room for depth, but something about it just doesn't feel right for me yet, where I feel this connection, where I feel like I am connected with this player that I'm playing as, where I feel good about doing these things. I feel good fighting these things. I haven't had that yet. I've gotten some situations where I'm like, man, that fight didn't just feel satisfying, or I didn't enjoy that. And I'm like, some of it's maybe some of the bosses kind of get you stuck in combos pretty easily, kind of like frame trapped for a couple seconds where I'm like, okay, well, I'm like fucking dead now. There's not a lot of room where you get hit and there's a recovery spot. Like it's like boom, 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 boom. You're like pretty much dead so far. I'm like, damn, I wish it's not how I prefer things. And there's definitely an approach to this that could be well, but it's definitely something I'm going to have to, I guess I'm going to have to learn more about this game and kind of its rules and how it plays for it to feel natural for me, because it doesn't yet.
Yeah, I wonder, because...
the first one never felt like natural, too. Would get stuck in weird thing where it just felt... the first one always felt like there was nothing I could do there, really. It's one of those moments.
Thinking about like when I think about Souls-likes that are not from Software, the first one that comes to mind that's kind of like a shining example is Neo. Mm-hmm. And Neo is interesting because I feel like obviously, of course, it takes so much from from Software template, but it really is its own thing.
It is, yeah.
And I think it twists things hard enough that it really is easy to kind of get obsessed with. Because Neo is also interesting where just because you've played a lot of Souls doesn't mean you'll be good at Neo.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about
it. It's kind of impossible until it's not, right? You kind of go through like a Returnal thing like we were talking about.
I think Soul Sacrifice has that kind of same thing too, where it's like it's very familiar, but it's different. It kind of has its own identity.
Yeah.
But I still don't feel like I have a full grasp of it.
Yeah.
But the problem is I'm not at a point where I'm like, I want to figure this out and understand it. I'm not getting that feeling yet.
That's the key differentiation. And, my memory of Assault and Sanctuary is rough, admittedly, but
it's been a long time. Yeah,
what you're echoing rings true for me, where it just never felt good. And yes, Neo may have been really, really, really hard, but you time those key recharges, and you're like, this feels good immediately. Like everything that I'm doing feels tight and snappy, and there's just this kind of weird, rough, flash gaminess with the Salt game. With Salt and Sanctuary, anyway, I haven't played Salt and Sacrifice that I was never into, but I always felt like I should have given it more of a shot than I did.
I definitely want to give it more of a shot. I still want to. If I was not doing this as a job or anything like that, maybe I wouldn't look at this the same. I would just bounce off it. But I'm there's something here I feel like I need to understand, and maybe I just need to dig deeper kind of thing. I'm not super hyped to play this game at all. I'm not looking forward to go home to play it, but I'm going to play it more to give it more and see if something actually comes out of this for me.
Yeah.
There's brief moments where I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool, kind of thing like that. But nothing.
What are the kind of cool moments?
There was this part where I died and I came back to the area right after there was completely different enemies there and weird enemies. I was like, what is happening? I don't understand what's kind of happening here. I'm kind of curious. That was kind of neat, but I still don't get it yet.
Gotcha.
That's what the game has been so far. And it does this thing. I really don't like games that do this anymore. This feels so old to me. It has this thing you die in a tutorial kind of thing, I guess, and part of your health's gone, and just a chunk of it's gone. I'm like, I don't like that mechanic anymore. I think it's kind of overplayed, and it doesn't really mean anything to me anymore. It doesn't feel special.
Need that cling ring.
Yeah, I haven't gotten it. I haven't figured out how to get it back yet. I'm sure there's a way. I just haven't figured it out yet. I'm still diving into this thing. I guess I would just say, Ben, a lot of it doesn't feel great to me or appeal to me yet, but there's still I need to figure out. So I'm not going to dismiss this game completely yet.
Yeah.
But I'm having to make a great effort to keep going.
Gotcha. Last question. I know you're just getting started with it, and you weren't the biggest fan of the first game. Just in terms of features, is there any big back of the box thing that this has over the first game?
I didn't play a lot of first game. I think there's PvP now. I haven't done that yet or anything. There's maybe more co-op kind of stuff you can do. But other than that, I'm not really sure yet. Like I said, I didn't have a ton of experience with the first game, and I'm still very early in this game, so I don't know yet. But I think PvP was the bigger thing.
Gotcha. Just today I finished Eiyuden Chronicle.
Oh,
Rising.
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
How long was this?
I don't know exactly. I want to say between 13 and 15 hours, something like that.
Nice.
There's still more that you can do after you finish, which I have not done yet. But this game is very charming, and it kind of kills me because this is a game that I just want to be like, it's awesome, go play it. But now that I've finished it, I can't. At best, it's a 7, unfortunately, and we'll get into what is really holding it back. But to talk about the positives, I mentioned this to you, Huber,
Yeah, this sounded
last week.
sick as hell, dude.
I feel like so many of the things that you champion are present in this game, particularly bonds.
Yes.
And it kind of manifests itself in a few different ways. They really establish, so there's 3 playable characters, and they really nurture the relationship between them.
Nice.
Where they all start out as total strangers, and then by the end, when they're like, okay, we would die for each other, you really believe it because they've done a good job kind of from beginning to end, having them grow and very slowly warm up to each other. I always think it's annoying in games where you get a party member and it's just like, yeah, I just believe in what you're doing and I'm with you and we just met.
And I'll follow your orders.
Yeah, I'll follow your orders without question. You seem cool.
Yeah.
It doesn't do that. It really takes its time in nurturing those relationships, which I appreciate. And I think it does a good job of making all of the characters play differently from each other in a cool way. And so each character is mapped to a button. So like on an Xbox controller, your main character CJ is on X, and then if you hit Y, you'll do this kangaroo. It's carrying a great sword, right? So he's very heavy, very slow. And then on your B button, you have a magic user. And one of the coolest things about this game is it's called link attacks. And if you use your X character, right, and then just at the right moment you hit Y, it'll like clap, and you'll do a link attack. And so you do these huge combos with the characters in a way that's really fun, just getting the rhythm down. It's almost like a rhythm action game in that sense. So that's pretty cool.
Does it play like Indivisible? Like you said, how every character's bound to like a face button?
It's not like... It's more action-oriented. Indivisible is a good comparison, but it's not quite that because, you know, you're still kind of dealing with this sort of like locked in a battle, like JRPG kind of thing. It's more action gamey than that, but it's a good comparison. It's a good like springing off point for what we're talking about. And the thing that's cool is to get more basically links in your link attack. In order to make those bigger, you have to fill out these stamp cards. And that is by doing quests around the town. And so if you complete one of those, suddenly you can add a whole new chain to your link attacks, which is pretty neat. And not only is the relationship between the party members good, this whole town that you're taking care of kind of blossoms in several ways. So there was a big earthquake and everything was all run down, right? And so everything's in rough shape. And so throughout the course of the entire game, you are bringing in new businesses. You are establishing the inn, the tavern, you're restoring like the smithy, the armorer, and then once you establish them, by doing more things for them, their stock will grow, which is really cool. But these people aren't just quest givers. They all have their own personality, and they'll have these individual storylines. And over time, you'll kind of add on to them. So, like, this joke that this person is making, they'll kind of continue that joke as you do more quests for them. And so you really, very intimately get to know this town in a really, really, really cool way. And it feels like your home in a much better way that I would say most RPGs are able to accomplish, which is pretty neat. The problem is, despite there being all of this cool stuff, right? Like all of this armor upgrades that you can unlock, all of these weapon upgrades that you can unlock, all of these rings you can get that modify your stats in different ways, the fact that you can do these link attacks, which are very cool and very powerful and fun to do. The game is just way too easy. And you don't unlock hard mode until after finishing the game, which you can then switch at your house. And so I got to a point where I was just doing all of these quests because I wanted to keep filling out my stamp card. but I'm like, it just doesn't matter. Like, I'm just blowing through everything. Like, I guess, sure, during the final boss, I had to use all my potions, but I still didn't die. Like, it got to a point where it's like, I'm just autopiloting through everything, right? I feel like if you're the type of person that wants to do all the quests, that wants to build out these towns, there's really nothing in the game that is like super challenging for you. I think I died maybe once or twice, but it's again, I'm just like not. There are all of these things there. There's this elemental system where it's like, okay, these enemies are going to be weak to that, and it's like I don't have to care about that at all. And so I think it has the right ideas, but at least on normal, which is your only option until you beat the game, it doesn't execute on them well enough. And so like the ideas are there, but you're not really encouraged to explore them in interesting ways. And the other thing is, while I like building out the town, and while I like getting to know all the people, I think all of that stuff is like super. The idea is excellent. There are just way too many quests. They could have cut the number of quests literally in half. There's 160 stamps total. I would say like a good. I got, by the end of the game, I had 133 stamps. I would say 120 of those are side quests.
Wow.
Again, I'm just roughly estimating.
Like
a lot of it. Over 100.
Yeah.
Right? And these quests are just really mind-numbing. A lot of them boil down to talk to this person, then fast travel to this point in the town and talk to this person, or go out and like mine this thing that you've already mined, or gather this wood that you've already gathered before. Right? And it's just, it's not that it's a lot of effort, but it's also, as a consequence, not that interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't sound fulfilling at all.
And I would say for the first, like, 50, 60 stamps or something like that, in the beginning, I didn't mind because I liked filling out the cards. I liked getting new attacks. I liked seeing the town grow. But once that dried up, it continued, like, there were 100 more stamps there or something
you can only
crazy.
do something like that for
right?
so
Like
long.
Yeah, you can only do something like that for so long. And I think the key takeaway is that it went past the point of no return by like a good distance. And so this is a game that I really like, that I think just needs some buttoning up. I think this could have been, an 8-hour game and would have been a much better game as a result. And it's not that I'm against having a ton of side quests. It's not that I'm against it being a longer game. I just think it ran out of steam well before it reached the end.
Yeah.
And I think the story was enjoyable. I think the characters were super enjoyable. It looks really gorgeous. The characters are presented in like as sprites, but then they're in like 3D environments that look really impressive. It's really gorgeous. And I liked the music.
It's one of my favorite marketing things is just like making a little smaller prequel
Yeah.
prologue. It's like my favorite way to engage with like a franchise or a game I'm really hyped on.
Yeah, and I think when Eiyuden Chronicle comes out, I'm going to really appreciate having played this and already being attached to the world and to characters. It sucks. This is a game I don't want to criticize, right? Like, it's a game where I'm like... If I was just a fan, I could just be like, man, what a cool little game.
Yeah.
But when you have to turn that reviewer brain on, it's like, okay, well, this needs to be fixed. This needs to be fixed. Like, I bet a lot of people that play this game are going to love it and are going to be able to kind of brush those things under the rug.
Yeah.
But damn, those things are still there.
Like, Jones loves God mode,
Sure.
Like, that's a pro to Jones, is like getting the 100% completion and then just steamrolling through.
Yeah, the thing is, I think the difficulty would be less of an issue if the game was half as long in a weird way, So like both of those things are kind of coincide with each other.
Sure.
So prequel, you said to the.
I don't know exactly how it's going to fit in, but obviously this has come out
Before it, yeah.
well before, and the way that the ending plays out, it definitely seems very much like a prequel.
Okay.
Because the end does something where it's like, okay, that's what you're setting up.
Got it.
But yeah, man, such a cool game. I think if you're excited for Eiyuden Chronicle, check it out. just a few things away from being like Curse the Moon level of like awesomeness.
Yeah.
Just a little bit long in the
A little
tooth.
too much.
A little too much. With that said, I feel like I've invested so much already that I'm like, well, I might as well do the post game. Like I feel that drive.
Yeah, if you
but
feel
it's not
it.
like it's not like because like, oh man, it's so awesome I can't get enough. It's just like I've spent so much time already.
Yeah.
Which is maybe not exactly the feeling you want. Because like with Rogue Legacy 2, it seems like you want an excuse to just keep going.
As
You
soon
don't
as I
want it
get
to
home,
end.
I'm playing.
Yeah.
The second I get home.
Yeah, it's a slightly different feeling here. All right, it is time for the sizzle. And this is a spicy one.
Okay.
Definitely, I think this is good for both of you.
Love spicy food.
What do you think will ultimately be better, assuming they both happen, which seems likely? What will be better, the Resident Evil 4 remake or the Dead Space remake?
Ooh, really good question.
I mean, that's kind of unfair. That's not really spicy.
Kind of unfair, not really
I mean,
spicy.
it's Resident Evil, obviously.
You think so?
Because of the current history of Resident Evil and Capcom and Resident Evil remakes from Capcom
I don't know.
versus
yeah. Go ahead.
EA, like, not to say I'm not hopeful, and I have a lot of faith in that Dead Space remake. I just saw a video. They changed how guns sounded because of feedback from people. They're listening.
Mm-hmm.
10 out of 10 hyped. But just the current state of EA versus the current state of Capcom is firing on all cylinders. They're like the best they've ever been. It's like a golden age over there. I've got no question Resident Evil 4 is going to be awesome.
So here's my counter to that. Hear me out. I agree that Capcom is killing it with Resident Evil. However, I think it's the better you are, the higher expectations are. Like, so Resident Evil 3 remake, right? Yeah. Plenty of things to criticize, certainly, but I still had an amazing time. Yeah. But the backlash against Resident Evil 3 remake was pretty intense, and I think it's just because the quality has been so good coming off of Resident Evil 2 remake.
The thing with that is that was mostly by M2, not Capcom proper. So I feel like the main Capcom team that worked on remake 2, straight to remake 4. Resident Evil 3 was like a lower budget thing compared to remake 2. And I imagine remake 4 is going to be that insanely.
I think with remake 3 they made some bets in the wrong area.
Yeah, made some cuts, some budget
like
cuts.
The resistance or whatever it's called.
And they got it out quick.
Yeah.
And it's just a different tone. Like, I love the action tone of it.
Yeah. I mean, 3 was, though, too.
Exactly.
Compared to 2. I mean, yeah.
I hate getting into it. People hate remake 3.
We don't need to
it annoys me.
I'll
say it one more time for Frame Trap. I will take the best characters of any Resident Evil video game to date. Jill Valentine in Remake 3 is the culmination of those characters in my mind. Same with Carlos. Nikolai, 10 out of 10 villain. I will take the best characters ever in a Resident Evil game versus 40 extra minutes at a clock tower.
Why not both?
Why not both in a perfect world? But that's just greedy, spoiled gamers.
That's not greedy. Wait, hold on a sec. That's not greedy, spoiled gamers, dude. Especially with the quality that was 2. Like, you take that shit out. Like, why? It didn't need to be taken out. The game's short as it is. There's one campaign. Yeah. They bet it on the multiplayer, which was the wrong bet.
It was the wrong bet.
It was the wrong bet. It was the wrong bet. Resistance was
I think it's totally fine to criticize that game for not having shit that people expected for it, especially when it feels extremely lacking with it not being there.
It's fair.
It's
not there. It's fair.
It's a weird situation, Brad, where everything that you said, I agree with. I do. Mm-hmm. I think there's plenty to criticize with Resident Evil 3 Remake. However, I also think 3 Remake did a good number of things well.
It did. It really did. It did.
Overshadowed.
All because of a clock tower.
Yeah.
Because of a clock tower.
Well, I mean, there's no choices either.
And the choices and the
things that made 3 unique weren't there, kind of thing.
For sure.
Getting back to Resident Evil 4, though, a more modern game and considered by many one of the best games ever made, and so. It gets into that, like, does it even need a remake territory?
Yeah. Totally. What do you think, Brad?
Well, here's the thing, like...
Chicago typewriter remade?
Yeah, well, obviously I'm a bigger fan of Resident Evil 4. I love Dead Space 1. Honestly, I think if Dead Space 1 just was available on more platforms with, like, higher resolution and frame rate, it'd be excellent still. Like, do I think 4 needs a remake? No, not necessarily, but I'm excited to see what they do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I could throw that question right at Dead Space. I don't necessarily think Dead Space needs a remake either. But
Yeah, I think Dead Space maybe will be more close to the original game.
Yeah.
Because they're really worried about fucking it up, I guess. Like, they want to be super faithful to this game, I guess. It seems like it that way, but with Resident Evil, it seems like they're willing to, like, mess around a little bit. Like, I'm willing to, I'm totally cool to mess around with Resident Evil 4.
I hope some of the island is cut. It's not
me
my
too.
favorite part to replay.
Yeah, I think,
like, please,
sure.
feel
Like,
free.
Yeah.
Maybe they were
Resident Evil
testing-
4 is just a way longer game.
Yeah.
But it's like, I'm just curious to see, like, how they will tackle... Because Resident Evil 4 throws a lot of weird, wild shit at you, but it works. And I'm curious to see how they'll adapt that into modern standards.
I think that's the most compelling case I've heard for sure, is that Capcom is willing to change things pretty dramatically, and I do think Dead Space will be more faithful. But it's also like Dead Space has just been done so wrong.
It has
and so
been done
dirty
very wrong.
that it being like a pretty good faithful remake seems like a feast.
It's a W.
Feels like a
Right.
Hail Mary.
My
Yeah.
expectations
Hail Mary
are...
win.
I expect more from Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
Like, I expect certain things with Dead Space. Like, if it's super faithful and, like, competent, I'll be happy.
Yeah, right. And that's where it gets to be an interesting question is, like, if Dead Space Remake is pretty good, it'll feel awesome.
Yeah, just
everyone
because,
will
like,
be happy.
you end on Dead Space 3 and it's just like, fuck, man.
Brutal.
Yeah.
I just wish they were remaking Code Veronica.
Well, give it time.
I do too.
Give it
I do
time.
too. Yeah,
They're gonna
the
Resident
Resident Evil machine is
They're gonna come back
going,
to
yeah.
everything, dude.
Yeah,
like,
they
I
will.
wouldn't be surprised, honestly, if they remake Resident Evil 1 again.
Yeah, I think so too.
I think if they remake Resident Evil 1 again, they should do first person.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I love that.
Yeah.
man.
That could be cool.
I love that.
I think they should do first person.
Deadly silence. Oh, the doors.
I think I honestly prefer Resident Evil in third person.
I do too.
But I think it could be cool in
Yeah.
first person, especially if it's VR.
What if they remake 1 again? Fix cameras. We're going back
We're doing it again?
Well, I mean, they
as a
Take
tribute,
one,
like
but
an
they
anniversary.
Take out stuff.
In 1, take stuff out of
They,
one.
yeah,
take
and then
stuff out from the
they
remake.
added a
They're
multiplayer.
taking
and
out the
reverse.
like botany, Plant 42, the house, the guardhouse. They're taking it all out.
Brad, I think you're probably right that 4 remake will be better, but I'm more because I've been eating so well with Resident Evil. I'm more excited for Dead Space.
I think
Eating
it just
so
means
well.
what you're looking for in these games.
Oh yeah,
Depending on that.
Yeah. I wish
Like
I could put Silent Hill in this question.
yeah, some things, maybe they'll change something in 4 and fucking people will be pissed, or some shit
I'm
like
sure,
that.
No matter what.
Yeah, of course
Yeah.
it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
But like, who knows? Like Dead Space, like we said, like just keep it chill.
Keep it chill.
So far, it looks pretty. Like they have a good. So far, it seems like they're on track.
As long as dismembering a necromorph feels good.
The gore has to
I'm
be excellent.
good.
Yeah.
As long as I can spam stomp and hear Isaac yell, then I'm good.
It's gonna be such a breezy playthrough.
Didn't they change the gore in Remake 3?
Remake 3 a little less because there's more monsters.
Oh.
People always assume Capcom is like Rockstar style too. That's what bums me out. It's like, dude, they're not mad. The fact
They're not
that we've
Rockstar,
gotten
yeah.
this much good Resident Evil in a short of time, just I guess I criticize a little less when it comes to some of these cuts. So
Honestly,
know,
I
it's
just
just
want
like-
the 8 DLC.
it's like
That's what I
it's
want.
non-stop eating well. Like it's
it is.
not like as a Resident Evil fan, I'm living better than any fandom out there. So like
Well,
anything, I can't even like
Yeah,
criticize anything.
you're eating extremely well.
Yeah, it's absurd.
As like a Silent Hill fan, it's like what you've from a Silent Hill fan's perspective,
Yeah.
Resident Evil fans have nothing to complain
Yeah,
about.
nothing.
I mean,
You know what it's like being a
Nothing.
Resident Evil fan right now? It's like you're getting fed good food, but once in a while they try to slip you like a little
Yeah.
side dish. And you're like,
yeah,
I don't want
No,
that.
it's like
Take
a
that
new
back.
flavor,
Take
right?
that
It's
back.
like,
Reverse. I don't want that shit. Take that back to the kitchen.
This sizzle is brought to you by some wonderful shout out to your patrons. If you want to find out more, go to patreon.com/easyallies. I thought for this one in honor of Rogue Legacy, give me like your best like magic elder. Can you do a magic elder? Yes. Like an old sage. All right, shout out to. Hold on. Shout out to Elthanas, Greg the Dark Knight Kettering, Caleb Togi Crawford, Nick, Anacrothe, and Jabbawabs.
Shout out. No, Deckard
The
Cain.
hood really adds a lot.
Had to do it.
Mystique points.
Hubert, this is a game that, not that 7 is a bad score, but I really thought, just based on the footage that I saw, my gut reaction was that it was going to be higher.
Yeah, I was
And
hoping.
that is Trek to Yomi.
Yeah, I was hoping just a little higher. I was hoping a little higher. Quintessential example, and it sounds like Eiyuden Chronicles. Eiyuden
Chronicle.
Sounds
People
like
always say Chronicles. It's just Chronicle.
Okay,
Yeah.
it sounds like
Even Isla does that.
it sounds like a
Fake fan.
similar situation where got to finish the game fully to really critique it. You know?
because you
run
have
out
that
of
first
steam.
couple of hours, and you're like, yeah.
Yeah, the first
Yeah.
level is like
Yeah.
bandits invading this like Japanese village, and you're just like, dude, this is sick vibes right now. And then it's just like doesn't change the whole game, and you just do the same thing. So Trek to Yomi is a
Very similar to my issues then.
very similar. Trek to Yomi is a 2D, 3D, 2D. That's actually a thing now, right? 2D HD. It's like okay. So when you're in combat, it's sides 2D plane. You can attack behind and in front. 2D. Locked on the plane of the enemy. You know, like Kung Fu on NES.
It's just, yeah.
You ever play that one? Kung Fu.
Yeah.
The enemies come at you and you're just like,
I think I've played Kung Fu once.
I bet you have. I bet you have. And then
Low kick.
low kick. I was all about the high kick. Oh, the low kick actually, yeah. The Kung Fu just popped into my brain. The exploration though, you can explore freely. You can go up and down and around. There's like houses and stuff.
It adds the Z axis.
Exactly. So, beginning of the game, no spoilers. You start as a youngling, and your Jedi Master is training you.
It's not a Star Wars game.
you start young.
Why wouldn't you just say sensei?
Because I said youngling first.
Okay.
So you're a young lad, and your sensei is training you, and bandits attack, shit goes down, time jump, you're older, and you are now responsible for this village, this town of protecting the people, but you also want revenge. So it's kind of this cross between duty and revenge.
Do you get revenge in Yomi?
I don't want to spoil anything about this. I don't want to spoil anything about the game.
I didn't think that would be a spoiler.
I will say there are some cool things about the plot. There's some cool stuff. There's some cool stuff about the plot, but it never goes deep enough. I say there is a cool thing, but that is heavily, big asterisk there, because throughout it's about 5 to 7 hours throughout the game, it is very one note of like, I want revenge. This is my duty, just it never really goes deep enough. Not that it fully needed to, but it does take its story very seriously. There's a lot of cutscenes. It is in Japanese with subtitles. There is no English VO, at least that I didn't see it.
Good.
Good. This sounds like a buzzy like suit type cell, but they said they were so heavily inspired by Kurosawa, and it really does show. They were big on the vibe of these old Kurosawa movies. They got black and white, the film grain, but not just Kurosawa, just like the whole tone and vibe of like Edo era, duty, love, honor. You'll pick up little documents about, yokai and oni, and they dig into the lore. That stuff is just a little dense, and because the main character doesn't have too much emotion and go deep enough, I did stop to care about the narrative pretty quickly on. And then the combat stays the same throughout, so I stopped caring about the combat as well. And that's how I kind of landed on the 7, where it's like, this game is cool, and I love that it exists, and it's a really specific genre and niche, and like there's nothing bad about it. So I think it really is just one of those big classic 7.0s were swimming.
That's really interesting because a film that you and I both like that we saw recently, the Northman.
Yeah.
You could really fairly say about that, it's like the entire movie is just about this guy that wants to kill this person that betrayed him.
Yeah.
It really doesn't deviate from that.
For sure.
Well, I mean, that's not entirely fair. But the point that I'm trying to make is, a simple narrative premise is not inherently wrong.
No.
But I would say that movie works because of the depth of its character.
Yes.
And just how visually stunning it is.
Yes. Character for me is always my number one. Not plot, character. Like you can have the simplest or the most complex plot imaginable. And if I don't care about your character, if I'm not invested in one way or another, I'm just not invested. It's as simple as that.
Right.
With games, there's so many different things to get invested in because they're video games. They're freaking awesome. They're the best. So it's like, okay, the combat's cool for a while, but then it gets pretty simple. You got your classic parry, which is so easy to do. You got your dodge. You got your one end all, be all, kill all, shock gloves move, Brad. Square, square, triangle. Everyone's dead. Square, square, triangle. You're done. Armored enemies come in, square, square, triangle, finisher. You're done next. There's multiple difficulties. There's easy, normal, hard. I played on normal, though. Have no desire to go back, though, because you unlock a fourth one-hit kill mode. You and them die in one hit.
Got it.
But sampled it for a second, and it really just comes down to, like, okay, you just get your parries down on this, then
And it sounds like the parries are pretty generous.
Pretty generous, and AI not good enough as well, because a lot of the times, if you just hit the enemy with the triangle part of square, square, triangle, it'll stun them, and then you R1 finisher. So a lot of the times, I'm just hitting air with square, square, knowing that the enemy is going to walk right into my triangle, finisher R1, dead. And there's just a lot of that. And then you get like
that sounds pretty dull.
Yeah, and the environments are fun to look at, but then, the towns make way for like eerie caves, but like caves in black and white and in this format. So the environments kind of lose their luster. The whole thing just loses a little steam.
Yeah.
But it's on Game Pass. This game is $20. I think Rogue Legacy was on sale for $20. I think that's $25. Yeah,
worth the extra $5 tax.
This one's $20, and it is on Game Pass. And again, just a classic 7 of where I'm like, yo, I'm glad it exists. I felt the passion there. I did watch an interview talking about like Japanese samurai movies and all this. Just like someone who clearly loves this stuff, and a smaller effort. It's like championed by this one guy, there's a team on the game, but you feel the passion.
When you're talking about like how it's simple and it doesn't change, I was thinking about Contra in my head of just how simple that game is and how many like, weapons you have. Not a lot, but it's really sick the whole way through because of the encounters and the danger. Yeah. But it sounds like it doesn't even keep that going. Like the level design or the enemy placement, the enemy types don't make anything that exciting.
Yeah, and the boss fights are the same tactics. You just mash it out. There's like one boss maybe where you have to do a couple different things. They do try their hardest, like 3/4 of the way through their game, not a spoiler, 3/4 of the way through, they throw some puzzles at you. Some actual puzzles.
It's pretty late in the game for some puzzles.
Late in the game, but it was like, yo, like let's mix it up puzzles. And it was refreshing, and there's just a few, and they're all the same, but I still respected it. And they were okay.
Do you think you feel more critical of Trek to Yomi just because in the very recent past there have been so many examples of games with excellent combat, such as Rogue Legacy 2, Sifu, Elden Ring, Hades, the list goes on and on, Returnal.
I'd be lying to you, Ben, and Roger Ebert always says, the reviews matter about what's happening in the world in your life.
That's actually what I was
time.
thinking of, yeah.
Yes, yeah. I know. And 100%, if this had come out a few years ago in the Samurai drought, probably little reviewers bump that up a little bit. Like, finally, little Samurai game, let's go. But, now we finally are getting more, dude. Like Sekiro kind of counts.
Ghost of Tsushima.
Ghost of Tsushima counts. Like, finally, you know what we always for years and years wanted, that Assassin's Creed Samurai game, and now if it comes, it's like an afterthought. It's like, oh, finally, like,
right.
You know, everyone wanted that years ago, way before Ghost of Tsushima and Sekiro.
It feels redundant in a post Ghost of Tsushima world.
Exactly,
yeah.
exactly. So
really
timing
does.
matters, and I think this was a little late, where like the mystique of it being a samurai game was a little diminished.
That, like Kurosawa looking.
Yeah, I honestly think, because I think our immediate reaction to it was, oh, it's 2D Ghost of Tsushima, which I think, you know, obviously if it had come out before Ghost of Tsushima, the perception would have been much different.
But like
I
even
think
just
so.
that idea of like, that's enough for me.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it's just kind of a little just too the same the whole way through. Just
Yeah.
need a little more something.
Like, I know
Well-
you guys, you love the samurai vibe, and me too.
Yeah,
and it's like
yeah.
usually that is enough. And in this case, like, I'd still,
can be.
It can be.
Honestly, I think you've inadvertently just inspired me to just go back to the Ghost of Tsushima expansion that I did.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
So-
Iki
Island,
Yeah.
dude!
I think you just made me want to play Iki
Yeah,
Island.
it's really
I
good.
installed, I installed Check to Yomi, but I think I'd rather just play Iki Island.
Ian's really good.
Sorry, Trek to Yomi, but Iki Island.
Like I want to play Trek to Yomi.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna play this sometime.
It goes
but
quick. It
yeah,
goes quick.
Yeah. Like, you know, 7's totally fine, but
yeah,
it's
you'll
like
dig it.
definitely like, oh, I wish there's just a little more.
Yeah, a
little more. Just a little more.
dude. A little more.
Brad, there's some games where people bring them and I'm like, oh God, like I wish it was me bringing this, and this is definitely one of those games. But I'm so excited that you have finally kind of dove in outside of the group streams, and that is Gran Turismo 7.
Yeah, this is the first Gran Turismo game I've ever bought
Nice.
my whole life. I've barely played this series.
I'm certain. Yeah, I haven't played a ton of it either. I
Yeah,
definitely
like,
have experience.
I've seen like
but-
Mike play it growing up and
Yeah.
stuff like that, and a few friends, but like I never really dove into this game. And I don't know, something about this game got announced. I was like, all right, dude, this is the time. This is the one I'm going to jump into. I'm going to play this one, and I did. Man, this game is sick. This is tight.
It's
this
so
game's cool.
sick.
This
Yeah,
game's cool, man.
It is. It's fucking
As someone who
awesome.
doesn't know shit about cars or racing, it's really fun still.
Yeah.
Like, I am enjoying, like, it's so crazy. This game does a really good job of easing you into car culture and, like, learning to love cars. Like,
Yes.
I don't give a fuck about cars. Honestly, I don't care. Like, I don't give a shit. I don't think about, like, my dream car. I don't even have a dream car. Like, I don't have anything like that. where
No
I'm like,
dream car.
no.
Damn.
Like, I just don't even know, man. I just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like,
Yeah, no, I
cars
get
are
you.
cool, but I just don't know anything about them. But it's like, man, this game presents the world of cars and racing in such like a friendly way and a way to bring me in. In some areas, it feels very old. Like, it's just like little text, like,
yeah.
and like a weird face staring at you.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's something super charming and cool about it. Gran Turismo has the best menu sounds in the biz. I'll just say that straight up, like bloom, bloom. Gran Turismo has a fucking insanely awesome vibe.
Yeah.
I wish more games had this vibe, but it's completely unique to it.
Brad, you really, because I definitely had the same experience that you did. It's eerie, actually, how similar our experiences have been in like the place that we're coming from. But you really crystallized a thought for me in such a beautiful way. Where going into Gran Turismo 7, I think that's what I was worried about. Where I'm like, fuck, I don't know anything about cars, and I think that lack of knowledge is really going to punish me. But it doesn't baby you. It's not like, oh, little baby doesn't know anything about cars. Here you go. Like, this is the gas, this is the brake.
Yeah,
It doesn't do
it's
that.
not like that.
It's like that. It's like that really cool friend that's into something that you don't know anything about, and that friend approaches it in the best way, where it's like their sheer love of something feels like a warm embrace. Like
Yeah,
it's
it
bringing
does.
you into the circle without being patronizing or without like being elitist and scaring you.
It's
Which
just
is
like-
pretty remarkable.
The vibe is like, hey, we love cars and racing. We
Yeah.
want you to love them too.
and it feels like you can.
Yeah, you can.
Right.
You can.
Yeah.
It eases you in. Like, for someone like me, like, even I am understanding these things and growing with the game as it's doing. And the thing I like about the game the most, Ben,
Yeah.
are the license tests.
Yeah!
Dude, I am addicted to these fucking things. They're just like little challenges.
Yeah.
Like, dude, the challenges I'm doing is like, hey, man, go around this turn and get a gold at the time. And it's like, Okay.
Over and
easy.
over.
Sounds super easy. Played a ton of arcade racing games. No, dude.
Yeah.
I have never
flawless.
looked at turns in my life more intense than from Gran Turismo. Learning about like how to curve into this turn and like accelerate at the right moment and find the perfect spacing is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
It reminds me of like fighting games where of like it's like car fighting games where I'm just like thinking about these very specific things I've never thought about in just this really crazy in-depth way that I'm just falling in love with.
Yeah, it actually, the fighting game comparison is so apt. But what's crucial, I think, about the license test or the B license test that I've done in Gran Turismo 7 is like getting the bronze is like not a big deal. You feel like you can kind of fumble your way through it.
You can get it, yeah.
Yeah, but getting
gold.
the gold, it does this crucial thing where like you will get it within a second, right?
Tenth of a second.
Milliseconds.
And you're like, fuck, like what do I do? And it doesn't tell you. Like you could do a demo, but the point that I'm trying to make is I feel like there's enough there where you kind of have to reflect and trial and error your way out, and that is what teaches you to be a better driver.
Yeah, so like I don't know if this is just because I'm on the lower test right now, but what the game does is like a lot of times for newer players, it's like here's this kind of line to show you how you should be driving around this curve. Here's this little area that you should probably start to brake in, and it gives you these things, but you really need to master driving. And what's really sick about this game is the DualSense. The DualSense makes this game so much more engaging. Those fucking triggers, man, on those triggers, the pressure on it, so precise with every car because they feel different too. And you're like, you really feel it. The slightest pressure can make the gold or the silver. And it's just so specific and fine-tuned. If you just casually watch someone play this game, they make that turn, you're like, oh, whatever, dude, no big deal. But when you get a sick, clean turn, dude, you feel like you just fucking beat like a boss. I just feel like I beat a fucking FromSoft boss when I get this corner just right, and it's so clean, and I see that replay of my car, I'm like, oh yeah, just watch it, and you see.
Smooth as butter.
I love it because when you do like the license test, it shows people on your friends list, you know, what they've gotten. And I saw it, and I beat Blood on. I was like, yes, take that, Blood.
Get him.
Because blood is on there, and it is fun chasing after Blood, or at least just seeing like where he is in relation to you. Yeah.
But it's really sick. And like there's a lot to this game. There's like a lot of crazy stuff having done into like if you're a total car person, there's a ton of cars. There's like the tuning all these cars. I just saw that show. I was like, whoa, hold on, I'm not coming to this yet. And there's also like the normal races, like early on in the game, they take you to this cafe and they're like, hey, you're going to, this quest almost is like, you're going to do these races to collect these type of small like cars. Like the first one's like small Japanese cars, and it's like small European cars, and so on and so forth. And it's really easy you into these different like, I don't know what the correct terminology is, but like classes of a car, I guess. Like, I don't know how they divide that up, like maybe horsepower or something like that. But like here's the slower ones. It looks like you slowly build up to more of those.
Yeah.
But I haven't really messed with the story yet. Like I have all these credits. I'm saving them until like I get to a point where I'm like, I need to spend these credits. So I don't really know like the whole like pay to win aspect. I don't know any of that yet. I'm still like way too early. I'm still total rookie. I don't know this, but so far just going through the paces with the game has been very enjoyable. Super relaxing in some way too.
Yeah.
The last thing I saw was that they gave you more rewards and gave you a ton of money.
It's better. I don't know.
That's the last thing
because I'm not an expert at all.
Yeah, man, because we had a bunch of praise for Forza Horizon 5, and that game certainly deserves its praise. But the thing that you get from Gran Turismo 7, just in comparison to Horizon 5, I'm not talking about Forza Motorsport. It's not that I'm not aware of that. It's just Forza Horizon 5, fresh in my mind. Is that love of cars, and you talked about just like those Japanese compact cars. It feels like it treats them with as much respect and detail as it does.
Sick because like I got those cars, and this guy's like, "Hey, let me tell you a little bit about these cars,"
right?
And it's just like just a little bit, just enough, right? And it doesn't feel like I'm reading a fucking note from Control where it's just like going forever.
No, there's love there.
Yeah, and it's just like here's a little paragraph like you learned something. I'm like, cool, and you can probably learn more if you want. You can actually go in your garage, you see your cars there, and you can like read more about them. Like, dude, that's cool.
Yeah, it's presented very well. Brad, I'm so glad you brought this. Like you've re-jazzed me on Gran Turismo
Dude,
7.
it's been the coolest game that I've played. Like, I'll play like 30 minutes, and I'll just come back later.
Yeah.
It's just, it gives me this like, this sense I'd get from like arcade games, where I'm gonna just do a quick little run. Like,
Yeah.
you can get that from like road lights and stuff. Like, just quick like 30 minutes. I feel like I made some progress.
Yeah.
My skill, I feel like myself improving as a driver. It's awesome.
Yeah, because I remember I was streaming it and Blood was like, oh, you don't have this, you don't have this, you don't have this. And I was like, that's not really how I've been enjoying this game. Like, I just I'm like, I might just sit here and like try to get this gold for,
it's awesome.
however long. It's just like, it feels like you can just kind of appreciate it
Yeah.
in however you want to appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's
been delightful so far. Like, it's annoying that you need to be online to play this game, like, no matter what. Like, that's dumb. I hate that kind of shit. But
I didn't even realize just because I'm always connected, but yeah,
I know,
sure.
but
Sure.
like, especially like the recent like Xbox thing going off and like people not being able to play games. Like, it's dumb and it doesn't feel needed.
I think it's a good point to bring up.
But
absolutely,
I'm enjoying the game so far, and I want to keep racing.
Brad,
like, goddamn, these tracks look pretty too, man.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm just like, damn, this looks so awesome.
Yeah, it's. Do you ever have those moments where like you're just like, oh man, the outdoors are really cool? Like you just like,
I'm like,
Gran
dude,
Turismo 7 is kind of the same feeling. Where
look at
you're just
that
like,
grass.
I'm just like looking at this stuff.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, this looks sick.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, the game's cool.
Last game we're going to talk about, and Huber, I think you've been playing a little bit of this as well. I actually don't know how much you've played. I've played a couple of hours, not that much either. I've really turned to 180 on Vampire the Masquerade Bloodhunt.
Game's sick.
Until today,
Game is sick.
I would have said that it was just kind of like a decent, mediocre battle royale, but I had some matches today where I'm like, okay, there's more,
something there. There's something
more
there.
here than I thought.
A solid foundation, Ben.
An extremely solid foundation.
Yes.
Yeah, I've really warmed up to it. In fact, the reason I reinstalled it is I was just like, the vibes of this, like
reinstalled,
like gothic vampire. I just want that right now. I was in the mood for that.
Yeah.
But I reinstalled it, and some of the matches that I had today were so cool, and they were cool because of the specific mechanics of the game.
Yeah.
And talking about that, so I don't need to explain a battle royale game to the audience. You understand. But the things that make this game different are that you have 2 lives out the gate, right? So when you die, you can respawn. And it actually, in what I'm sure is a controversial decision, it respawns you like right where you were. And so sometimes you'll respawn and it's like, oh, I'm just like in the thick of it again, which is kind of fun, kind of exciting. I can imagine some people don't like it. But what's neat about when you respawn is when you first get into the match, you only have a pistol and nothing else. When you respawn, you actually have a pistol, an AK, and a melee weapon. So when you respawn, you actually are a little bit more up to speed, which I like because you're going against people that have been looting and are pretty equipped. So you feel like you have a chance when you respawn, which is nice. But on top of that, there are also specific NPCs that you can feed on where you can get that life back.
Yeah, that's
my
cool.
favorite.
And so today I had a couple of matches where I actually had 3 lives instead of just 2. And it was just kind of awesome being like, oh man, I had a rough beginning, but I'm still in the game all this way later. And so for somebody who's not a battle royale expert, just being able to play longer was kind of nice. But there are NPCs on the map, and they'll give you different buffs. Like they'll lower your cooldowns, they'll give you more melee damage, and so on and so forth. And so recognizing like, oh, okay, I want this or I don't want this, you're kind of working toward a specific build, and then you have to kill players to be able to feed more, and that's pretty interesting.
I love the feeding. And if the NPCs see you feeding, you get alerted.
Yeah.
Because the Masquerade drops. It's fantastic.
What I don't quite understand about the game yet is them seeing you feed doesn't really track, because I definitely fed right next to another NPC, and it
Vision
did not,
cones, dude. Vision
did
cones.
not alert it at all.
Vision cones.
And so it seems pretty
pretty loosey goosey.
pretty loose in terms of seeing. But
Definitely.
if you're like in a battle, this happened to me. I think I like accidentally killed an NPC, and they will run away. They'll get scared. I was in a fight with somebody else. And it's like, oh shit! I accidentally shot this person. Now I'm exposed.
Yeah.
And so if you break the Masquerade, you'll actually be visible for a full minute, which is an eternity
That's
in
a
a game
long
like this.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That happened to me, and I was like, okay, I'd never do that again.
Yeah,
It was that punishing.
well,
I was like, that is a death sentence.
the other thing is if you see somebody that's been exposed, it is this really interesting mind game where you're like, oh man, I want to go after that person. They're going to be easy to kill. But then you're like, oh shit, everybody can see them. So if I go after this person, I'm also exposing myself and putting myself in danger, which is pretty fascinating. There's also like a little bit of cool environmental storytelling that I saw. There's like this like pharmacy that you can go into, and you go in, and you when you open the doors, the alarm goes off. So you're like, okay, well, I created a distraction. But I love this, that like the blood and stuff that you wanted, it's actually behind like this panel. And so like that's assuming that the people that work at this pharmacy are secretly vampires and are secretly selling the stock. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like that's a cool bit of storytelling. And so like between that and like having to worry about the Masquerade, I feel like it's a little bit more contextualized
Totally.
than some other things.
And you got that hub.
You got the
with all
hub.
the items.
Yep, you got the hub.
Some cool hub lore.
Like today I didn't really experience the hub at all though, because it's something I really, really like, is as soon as you get done with a match, there's an option in the bottom right-hand
keep it
corner
going.
where it's like, do you just want to go back in? So you don't even have to go to the hub, which I love
Perfect.
that. So it's really easy to get into this addictive flow with the game. I feel like you level pretty quickly. I bought the battle pass and I feel like I'm going through things
Bends into
quickly. Yeah. I'm really enjoying it.
Hell
I don't know
yeah.
how long it'll last, but
The movement is so fun. It reminds me of
is, yeah.
Prototype, that old game, open world Prototype. Just like I use the brute and I just leap everywhere because it's so damn fun to do, Ben. Just leaping everywhere, like in the sky. You can climb any building. You just run at a building and you just climb up it. It's so nice.
So what's
Just
great about
leaping everywhere.
the climbing of the building, and something that I really do love about this game, is how fucking vital sound is. Like I feel like this is a game you absolutely need to play with a headset on, and I can't imagine not doing it. Because yes, you can climb any building and the mobility is insane, but if somebody's climbing a building and you're like remotely close to them, you will hear the clunk clunk.
So loud,
and so it's like, it's so awesome, like hiding in a corner, you're like, okay, this person's climbing a building, this is where they are. Just how much information you can get purely from sound is so cool. Because you can ping constantly, like you get this vampire vision essentially.
Yeah, I wish they'd like up that cooldown. There's a little too much of that.
Yeah, it is pretty short.
Just
I
spamming
think
it.
maybe upping the cooldown might be the right call. Because you can see like, oh, okay, there's a white circle, there's people shooting here. You get a lot of information from it, for sure. You can highlight people in red. Man, other things that I like.
The melee weapons.
The melee
Have you
weapons.
messed around? I found one time a melee weapon with a special ability.
Are you
And it
talking
was
like
like-
the dash forward?
Yeah, so
that
sick.
thing is sick.
So
Yeah,
fun.
it's like the dual blades.
And like a big, there's like a fireman's axe you can get.
There's a katana that you can
katana.
get where its special ability is you just deflect bullets. I went to get this guy and I had a perfect shot on him. He just deflected my entire.
So sick.
Another thing that I love about this game is the way, like, clip size matters so much and reloads matter so much, because you do have crazy mobility. Things are so quick that if you run out of bullets, you really need to switch your weapon, because reloading takes too long and you will die.
Totally.
So me using an entire AK clip on that guy was deflating my bullets. That fucking put me in the ground right there. And so you really like need to know, like, this is how many shots that I have, and it emphasizes accuracy and using weapons well, which I love. That stuff is so cool. I think the powers are neat. So I've been playing a lot of Siren.
Nice.
And I was watching streamers play, and I was like, I didn't even think to do this. It's so obvious, but I didn't even think to do this with ability. They can send out a projection forward.
Yeah, that
and then
shit
you
was
can,
insane.
Then you can teleport to that projection. But what you do is you're like, okay, I know I'm going to go into a fight. I'm going to pop the projection in the safe place, go into the fight. Things get hairy. I teleport back to that thing.
So sick.
Super fun. You also get this huge blind. But what's great about it is the beginning animation takes a little while. So it's not just like instantaneous. And the blind is great, but it doesn't last that long. So again, it's like using your abilities effectively, which is so cool.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I just like leaping.
Yeah, leaping is
so fun.
Is really, really fun.
It is unbelievably fun. I do worry about the map. I love the map. It's one of my favorite vibes is like Gothic Victorian style London. It's like legit my number one environment. But I'm worried because it's pretty small. There's not a lot of interactivity. It's obviously what sets Fortnite apart from everyone is just the map. There's so much to do on the map at all times. So I wonder, because this is like way lower budget, like way smaller team. Yeah. How do they keep the map and the variety going?
Right. Yeah. So you're talking about interaction. There are like these like enforcer dudes, these NPCs that I think are specifically hunting vampires, and you can go and like kill them, and I think they drop loot.
Love that stuff.
Yeah,
love that stuff.
But kind of like the feeding, where it's like this is a good idea, but I agree with your criticism. I think I wish there was the ideas that they have are cool and kind of excite me.
Yeah.
I do wish there was like a little bit more going on.
Somehow maybe connecting the hub a little more to the map, maybe some missions or something.
Or like, I don't know, maybe maybe this does happen, maybe I'm just not far enough, but like depending on how you play, it affects the hub or whatever. I don't know. Like,
that'd be cool. Just a little extra.
Yeah, just a little bit more into the vampire stuff I think would be neat. But it's a cool game.
It's so cool.
Dude, it's much cooler than I thought it was.
Same. I think even Brad was watching me play a match. Neat. Even after a match, he's like, "Oh, cool." It wasn't just like, "What is?"
Well, because like you hear about the game and you're like, "What?" Like, Vampire the Masquerade Battle Royale. It's like that screams of desperation to use this IP for something.
Yeah, and it's awesome.
My other criticism would be I actually don't think there's enough weapons.
Sure.
It's just like here's the
Tommy
SMG.
Gun, Tommy gun.
I feel like. Just a few more in specific categories would help.
One or two, yeah.
I got some exploding crossbow bolts. And
that thing is really annoying.
OP. It felt OP.
Yeah, I've had that that thing. It's killed me, and it's really annoying. But yeah, it's cool. You can the way you can customize your character is pretty neat.
The tier 100. We watched it on stream. We were testing it out. We were going through the battle pass. We were grading the battle pass.
Okay.
All right, there's some good shit here. The tier 100 is a female and a male skin, it looked like. It was Trinity, basically, and Blade for tier 100.
Which is what everyone wants,
Winner,
right? Yeah.
winner. So winner.
Yeah, man. I just want to play more of it. I'm just excited to play more of it.
Man, the big test for me, because I have so many games and only so many that I can commit to long term.
Sure. Yeah.
The test to me was I was hovering over delete. And I was like,
didn't do it.
No.
Yeah.
A little more. A little more, Bloodhunt.
Yeah, I mean, I think the real test is, you talked about the foundation. That's something you mentioned a couple of times. I think it's there for now.
Yeah.
But with things there are so many games that
have a mile a minute.
There are so many games that have a good first month.
Yep.
Yeah,
so many games that have a good first month.
Think of Halo Infinite, man.
Yep.
Halo Infinite, Lost Ark, New World that have strong beginnings and then fall off. So really the test
There's
with
only
Bloodhunt
so much room,
Right. And Battle Royale's not a new concept.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not a new concept. And so it's just
hard to compete against
how
lightsabers.
often are they going to be able to inject new content, new life into this game? That's going to be the test.
And it looks from what I've seen, it looks different. And it has its own unique things about it, which is cool.
Yeah.
To help separate it.
The lives and the feeding mechanic, shout out. Whoever thought of that, whoever designed that, it's very smart.
Something
so
that I didn't talk about along those lines is, obviously this is not the first game where you can get knocked down and not killed, But in Bloodhunt, it's actually, I feel like there's more layers to it because I think it takes like 15 seconds for you to go from down to recover. And I actually recover quite a bit because you have to make a choice between, do I just want to keep shooting this person or melee attacking them to kill them, or do I want to go and do I want to feed on that person that I downed to get my health back? But if I do that, I also expose myself. Yeah. And so there have been times where like you're in the midst of a battle and the person doesn't kill you, maybe they want to feed on you or whatever, and you are able to get back up.
Someone else comes and it's out of control.
Right, right. Or
That's
someone
cool.
feeds on you and they get interrupted. Yeah. And so those little layers.
Is there like team modes or anything like that?
So I've just been doing solo. I think there's duos.
There's
three?
I don't think there's duos yet.
Oh.
It looked like trios and
maybe it's trios and solo.
And maybe one
I've
other
just done
weird
solo
mode.
so
Yeah.
far.
Okay. Well, whatever.
Apex had a similar thing where it was.
Well, Apex was trios only when
only.
it came out.
Yeah.
I don't
And
know what it
then
is
and
now.
then it took a while even for Fortnite. They had solos and duos and squads. They had trios like way later.
okay.
So like way later
Got it,
trios.
got it.
Yeah, I should mess around with the team mode. Solo's so fun though. There's something I think about like being this lone vampire.
It's a different vibe when you solo
for
in a
sure.
party. Yeah.
My favorite of all
Absolutely.
time is duos. I'd love anything. StarCraft duos, Fortnite duos. Love the duos.
It is time for the HOTTAKE. And much like the intro, kind of going back to the wellness one, but I think it's a good pragmatic question to ask every so often, especially now right before E3. And the question is, at this point in time, right, pretend that this isn't your job. You're just a dude, don't have a lot of money. Are the
I am just a dude with not a lot of money.
Sure. Are the PS5 and Xbox Series X worth the price of admission right now?
What
Like,
a question.
If assuming that you have some form of PS4 or Xbox One, or a good PC even.
Yeah. If there is at least like 2 games you want to play.
You think 2 games is the limit?
I mean, I'm thinking about for myself, like when I was, well, I guess even when I was in the industry, I was a hardcore gamer, so I don't really know. Like the average Joe definition is hard for me to like figure out what that will actually be for someone. Like if it's someone that buys Call of Duty and like Madden only, then you're probably okay with not doing it so far. But like if you like buy a couple games a year, like you buy 2 or 3 a year, then I'd say, yeah, there's probably enough for you to actually justify it.
Does this person have last gen?
Yeah.
Yes. So that's the. Well, I mean, you
That's
can
the context.
you can reframe it
Okay.
however you want, but in my mind, yes, they have last gen.
It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, and we're in this cross-gen era where it's like if you don't really care about playing like on ultra high frame rates and all that, like so many of these games are on last gen.
So that's the thing with me.
You know, it's really tough. Like for me personally, obviously I'm obsessed. It's my life's passion is video games.
Right.
So different. But I think it is kind of a hard sell at the moment if you have a last gen console. I think you're still chilling.
Yeah. I mean, if you're just getting into gaming or you don't have last gen, you're trying to make a choice. Yeah, of course, I would go for current gen. But I think that's the thing, and you touched on something that I think is so important is the cross gen thing. Almost everything that I want to play, almost everything is available on old platforms, and I don't have enough time to play everything that I want already. And so that's the thing. I especially like the way that generations work now, where they really are trying to be more all-encompassing, and with things like Game Pass, I just don't think you need them. No. I don't think you need. I think you will get there.
We're getting there.
We
soon.
are getting there.
Probably next year or the year
creeping up,
after. Yeah,
for sure.
Like I don't know. It's just like, yeah, you probably don't need it, but if you're interested in games at all, I think you're gonna want to graduate at a point, no matter what. And we're like almost 2 years into this generation now. I'd say we're a year and a half. So I think people are like looking about now. Like there's a lot of games now to buy that are better on this new hardware.
Right.
And it's weird because like people spend more on video games like more than ever. Like more people are playing games more than ever. So I think there's like a lot of appealing things to buy. Like,
no,
yeah,
I'm not saying that there's not any value.
Yeah, there's not like, it's not necessarily like the other generations where it's like, this console's over pretty much. Like, we're in this now. Like, yes, there's more carryover, but I think the other versions are much more appealing. Like, I think people maybe would underestimate, maybe like if they were playing on a PS4 version, they went to PS5, they'd be like, whoa, this is a lot smoother and feels a lot different. So I think maybe you could justify making that leap, especially if like you buy 2 or 3 games. Like, you're gonna buy your like, let's say you buy God of War this year, you buy Horizon, and you buy Starfield or something like that. The next gen versions are gonna be way better of a game. Like, the experience will be way better.
Totally. I think at this point though, like my MO always was get the console at launch or wait for the first price drop. And I think now, since we're like years in and there still hasn't been a price drop, my personal advice to anyone out there who still doesn't have one is wait. We got to be coming up on a price drop soon.
I don't think there's gonna be a price
Friday
drop
or something like this holiday. Finally, like a little bit off. Like PS5 still being 500 is like still kind of intense.
They're all selling out still.
Right.
There's no like need to slash the price.
Yeah.
Like,
just a little 50
look at
piece.
like
because historically those price drops used to come like within the first couple
but
of years.
like now it's
I know it's different now, of course.
It's a different world.
Different world.
But that's the
But
other
even like a
thing.
bundle or the holiday bundle coming up or
holiday
something.
bundle, but like
At this point, I'd wait for one of those like deal sales.
I
price cuts.
guess like right now, if you're interested, I'd be like, just get one if you can.
Get one if you can.
If you can.
It's insane.
It's just so fascinating how much things have changed and how generations are bleeding into each other and things are kind of elongated. But it's not just that, right? It's not just you have to worry about buying the console and you have to worry about buying the games. Like the games that you're invested in, right? It's like I can totally imagine being like, well, do I want a new console or do these games? Or what about these games that I'm already playing that I know are going to have additional content? Do I want to spend more money on that because I'm already committed to it? I just feel like there are so many more decisions.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Whereas back in the day, you'd look at a game magazine and you're like, I can't believe the next generation looks like that.
Yeah.
And that would kind of be the beginning and the end of it.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways. And so it's just so multifaceted. And so I'd actually be really curious to hear from people like right into this podcast, like email askeasyallies@gmail.com, like what your specific situation is and what you're looking for as well. Because in a way,
Black Friday, a few months away.
like I don't regret buying a PS5 or an Xbox Series X. I use them both all the time.
I use them every
They're
day.
great consoles in their own right. It's not a slam on them.
Yeah.
But it's just like, man, if situations were, it's an interesting question to raise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, because and you guys too, I bet, like, it is my existence. It is my life.
Right.
So, like, I spend money on games instead of clothes. You know? There's so many factors. There's so much context and everything. And it's like, Demon's Souls, you were saying, 2 games. Back in the days, it was like, just give me that one exclusive. Give me that Dead Rising. I'm buying that 360. Legit, that's why I bought a 360. I never had an Xbox.
Tales of Vesperia.
Like, give me those, those can't miss.
Yeah.
It's such an easy decision because I love it. But again, if you don't play a lot, if frame rates and resolutions are not a big deal.
Yeah, it's not to some people.
Easy wait. Easier than I think in the past.
Until like
easier than it's been in the past.
I think so.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's definitely easier. There's more cross-gen than ever right now, but the time is ending though, probably.
Like the
in
fact
a year.
Yeah.
Like the
I
fact
would
that you
even
could
imagine by the end of this year. Yeah.
the fact that you could play God of War Ragnarok on a PS4, Horizon.
You can play Elden Ring. What else do you need?
Elden Ring, and it's like low res frame rate, whatever, but like that might not be important to a lot of
Hey
people.
man, I'm playing on PC and the frame rate's still bad.
Yeah.
But I realize, like with all my IMAX love, like people don't give a shit about
Yeah, they don't. A lot of
frame
people
rates
don't
and
care.
stuff.
A lot
Yeah,
of
people don't care.
Yeah, no, a lot of people
But
don't care.
you
But
know,
a
you're
lot
not
of
gonna be able to play though. You got if you want to play Final Fantasy 16,
Yeah.
you got to
for sure.
graduate.
Yeah. That game's not out yet, but yes.
It's coming.
Yeah, for sure.
Keep your eyes
16.
peeled for those
I'm-
systems.
I'm in most cases day one console. I'm just trying to think about it from other perspectives and realize, like, I had a moment where I was like, is Elden Ring on old? Oh yeah, it is, right? And it's like it's pretty crazy how expansive if you really sit down and think about it.
Horizon
the
Forbidden
cross-generation.
West.
Horizon Forbidden West.
Play it on
right?
PS4.
And play it on
Gran
a base
Turismo's on
PS4.
PS4 also.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that.
Play Halo on an Xbox One. Like,
You can.
You're
And your
chilling.
PC.
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
chilling.
it's really incredible how multifaceted.
You miss out on
industry
like
is.
Demon Souls and Rift
Ratchet.
Apart.
Yeah.
Well, the thing,
And
And Returnal.
honestly,
and
I feel
Returnal.
like I
Goaty.
feel like it's the little things that are kind of making up this generation.
The hard drive.
The hard drive, right? Like I can't go back after experiencing SSD on console like this. Like it's just how fucking fast everything moves is nice. Yeah, for sure. This episode is going quickly. Are we ready for some emails?
Let's do it.
Let's take our time on the emails.
Yeah, it is a quickie.
It is
Look
a
at us
quickie.
flying
Look
through.
at us.
Buy all the consoles.
Buy all the
spend your
consoles.
money.
Don't buy Stadia.
That's
Not
not a
even
console.
is a console.
It's a platform.
It's a platform.
I love still not knowing what the hell Stadia like fully
Sorry,
is.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
You can just chill with xCloud.
Yeah.
Our first email comes in from Jared. Greetings from Kansas City. I've been diving into a bunch of old retro games on my Steam Deck recently, and while playing through some of them, I thought about the time I was most nostalgic for. Back in the days of anxiously waiting for my Nintendo Power and Game Pro magazines to come in the mail, I realized that the time I missed the most is that 2001 to 2004 era of gaming. That's the sweet spot. This was the heyday for Xbox and Halo bursting on the scene, the GameCube, the GBA, and of course, most people owned a PS2 during this time. I sort of switched from being exclusively a Nintendo kid and branched out to become an Xbox gamer during this time as well, largely thanks to Halo and Xbox Live. Whether it was playing Pokemon or Metroid on my GBA, sailing the open seas in Wind Waker, or partying up with buddies to play Halo, this to me is the period in gaming I think I'm most nostalgic for. Also, you could drive down the street to your local Blockbuster, RIP, and check out just about any game you wanted. Would love to see what you all think. What console generation or general snapshot in time do you look back and miss the most?
Miss?
I mean, only NES because of my bro, and like N64. Definitely N64. Probably that's actually an easy question because it's so much. It's like the local multiplayer machine.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. I wasn't thinking about that, but you're so right. Like, obviously, playing games online with people is cool. I'm not criticizing it, but
Packed living
it's
room.
crazy
N64,
how like
pack them in.
a lot of my favorite gaming memories. Like, you just miss something if you're not
There.
with other people. You just miss it.
Yeah. That's when the idea of playing with someone online was still crazy and awesome on itself.
Yeah. The fact that could even happen.
Yeah. I don't know. I have a lot of fond memories with like PS1 and PS2, I would say. Like, because I was playing JRPGs and it was an excellent time for me. Just like a lot of nostalgia. Like, I like sitting in my room, I distinctly remember playing these games and just like fucking loving them, dude.
Yeah, the PS1 is my favorite era as well. And N64 along with that, of course.
Yeah.
But it was just like, that was when I really, really, really... I mean, I had a Genesis, but it's just like...
It's when it really grabbed you.
Yeah, I feel like everything kind of exploded. And it's just like, so many things were amazing. Things were becoming more cinematic, more deep, more mature, I felt like. But it was also... I also think, in a weird way, and it's so crazy to say this, like, being limited was a positive. You know, when you would go to a Blockbuster, you'd be like, well, I can't choose everything. What am I going to choose and why?
Yeah.
Everything just felt a little bit longer lasting and more meaningful, I think. Yeah. Good email. Our next email comes in from Camden. Transitioning from console to PC. Dear Ben,
you're stoked.
and fellow allies. Well, it's an interesting email. Good morning, and I hope you all are having a great week. I wanted to ask the panel for advice regarding console gamers thinking of making the transition to PC. After 20 years of console gaming, I've decided to invest in building a PC. Actually, building it isn't my concern, but more so actually getting into games on PC is. I've played mouse and keyboard here and there for certain games and truly just cannot comprehend how I'm supposed to not only remember, but quickly click all the buttons on a keyboard while moving a mouse. A controller is compact, making it easy to forget you're even holding one, and it's easy to reach everything you need. Keyboards are large, spaced out, and awkward to twist my fingers around sometimes. Not only that, but you always know what you're downloading on a console, as everything is more restricted and optimized specifically for that console. On PC, optimization seems very hit or miss for certain games, and the fear of downloading a malicious file and having an expensive rig get bricked when experimenting with mods or emulation is very real. But on a more fundamental level, I like chilling out on the couch while gaming instead of being hunched over a desk. However, mods, emulation, PC exclusive, and higher frame rates are still enticing enough for me to take the plunge. Basically, when it comes to the actual culture and ecosystem of PC gaming, it is very intimidating when coming from the cozy world of console gaming. What would your advice to a newcomer be to make the transition a bit easier?
Just ease into it. Don't go all in immediately. Just start small. A game here and there. In terms of like the mouse and keyboard, it's just something you're gonna get better at as you do it more.
Yeah.
Like it just sounds like you don't have a lot of experience with it.
And you can still use a controller a lot of the time.
Like you can use a controller like any
Every game
now. Like
pretty
much,
every game
yeah.
now. So it doesn't even matter. You don't have to play the mouse and keyboard.
Yeah.
You can play like MMOs now with controllers for God's sake.
Yeah.
It's like you're fine. Don't worry about
And
it.
play them well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's the thing with the emails. I totally understand, like, you're on the outside wanting to be on the inside, but I just don't think you realized yet how easy it is. Like, you download Steam, right? And pretty
1
much
trillion games.
anything you get on Steam, you're just going to click a button, you're going to install, and
That's it.
You're barely going to have to think about it.
Yeah.
You can play everything with a controller if you want to, like, really almost everything. And you can. What's great is you could use pretty much
Any
like you have
controller, too.
options for what you can use for controller. And you said you want to chill out on the couch. Steam has big picture mode. You can just plug in an HDMI into your PC, do big picture mode, and you're playing on a TV. So I think a lot of the things that you're worried about once you get in them is not going to be that bad.
Yeah, honestly, the stuff that they sound the most comfortable with is the most intimidating part for me is the actual PC itself and getting the parts together and everything like that. Like like you said, like with Steam, everything is so like seamless and easy nowadays. Like it's just as easy as a console. And if you're like worried about downloading stuff, it's like PC gives you the options to have these extra tools, but they can come with risks.
Right.
So like just don't download something weird on like a weird site you've never heard of, or like really like look into what you're downloading and like
things have been
be aware.
More buttoned up. It's not as much of the Wild West as it was. I mean, obviously that stuff is out there if you go looking for it. But on major platforms, right?
Yeah.
It's not going to be as much of a concern. Not that it's completely gone. I'm not saying that.
Yeah,
but
of course.
I think it's less of a minefield than you probably think it is.
Definitely.
Only advice is when you finally do it, just make sure that first game is the most PC game ever.
Yeah.
Crisis.
Like Crisis or Cyberpunk or Witcher or just something
to flex with.
Where it's like
Something
definitively
to
better
flex.
on PC.
Something
Definitively. Like no question.
No question.
Like Witcher
better.
3 is a great pick.
Yeah. Flex.
I actually agree with Brad though. If you are brand new, like to the point where you're not comfortable with keyboard and mouse playing games, building a PC.
Sounds intense.
I don't know if that's what I would
hardcore.
recommend. Yeah, I would just worry that like that alone.
Thermal
would be an
paste,
issue.
dude. It freaks me out.
And you also
Maybe they
mentioned
got a friend to help. I don't know.
like worried about using a keyboard and mouse. Like Brad said, it just takes practice. But a lot of PC games really only use like a very specific left-hand section of the keyboard.
It's very
anyway.
like PC controls are very like uniform almost.
Yes,
like,
they're very uniform.
WASD always,
Yep.
always like certain things are always the same.
Right, and you can rebind it to make it more
Whatever
comfortable.
you want. Yeah.
Right, so the
Rebindings.
customization.
PC,
and
you just have
freedom
more
they
flexibility all around.
It's the best platform. I'm excited for you to jump in.
Yeah. And like honestly, it feels like games are better optimized now than ever on PC. Like it seems so like a port on PC seems so much better than it did like even like 5 years ago.
Yes. So not that there aren't still bad ports. Of course there are, but like it used to be so much fucking worse than it is now.
Just keep those drivers updated, all right?
Yeah, and they even make
even
that
that's easy.
so easy.
Even
like,
that's super
you can
easy.
get you can get the GeForce experience, and it's like, hey, here's a new driver.
So
you just boom. Yeah, everything is so much easier.
It's so much
than it
easier
was.
now, yeah. Also, the great thing about PC is like games tend to usually be cheaper on PC, more quickly. I
Steam
would say,
sales, baby.
Absolutely.
like just all the time, tons of sales. Yeah,
Absolutely. That's a good point, Brad.
Our last email comes in from James.
James Sunderland.
Yep, that's who it is. Got a letter from Mary.
Release it, Konami. Yeah, less than 5 years, man. Less than 5 years.
I've been a participating allies. Have you ever had an instant connection with a piece of video game music? I encountered Pokemon Arceus Jubilife Village theme while I was trying to save my brother's game and back out to the eShop so I could check the latest discounts. Since then, I've been obsessed with that music, and it opens up deep feelings within me.
Rogue Legacy 2. It's my favorite soundtrack of the year. I'm obsessed.
What is it about it that makes that deep connection?
Dude, it just like gets me amped. It gives me like that Castlevania music feeling where it just like wraps itself around you. It is so beautiful and also just like good to play with it and good to just listen to it both. Love that.
I love that too. I've been replaying Silent Hill 2 with my wife, and I've realized that Silent Hill has some of my favorite vibes in gaming.
Yeah.
And a huge part of that is the soundscape, not just the music. Akira Yamaoka is incredible. I've just been listening to like Theme of Laura in my car because it's so good. But just the way it uses sounds to create atmosphere, like very abstract, haunting sounds where like I love that literally nothing can be happening in the game and you feel that tension.
Dread.
And it's just, you think about like the themes of the game and how well the sound is able to kind of bring that to life in just this sort of magical way. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I always think of like a Final Fantasy soundtrack or something
of
like
course,
Final Fantasy 7, of course, is like
Yeah.
burned in my brain because I love it so much. But one soundtrack I've listened to and I've never actually played the games is I really like the Professor Layton soundtracks.
Oh, nice.
I've never played them.
That.
Nice.
So fun.
Yeah.
But I was like, oh, these are cool. I like these. They just got like a weird, super
Really cool pull,
adventurous
Brad.
but cool vibe.
Awesome.
I regret not going back to those games. I finished the first one. That was it.
Well, there's like a lot of them, isn't there?
many,
Yeah, I've dabbled
so
in
many.
a number of them. I did finish Professor Layton in the Phoenix Wright one, but not an individual Professor Layton game. But they're really cool. They're really charming.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is all-time music or recently soundtrack? I thought it
Just-
was recent.
No, just any
Oh, okay.
music that you've connected.
I mean,
with
Shenmue,
on a deep
obviously.
level. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
That
It's like
theme
any
song.
Yeah.
Zelda.
Yeah, I mean,
Mario.
we all have like many that we can
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
Just what's on the brain.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, I was actually going to say Kingdom Hearts as well.
Hearts.
Simple and clean, like clicked with me like
Yes.
immediately. Yeah.
Your anime
Yeah.
brain.
Yeah. Yes. It was. It
Yeah,
was
it's an anime
it was
intro.
Very. Yeah. It is. It is an anime intro. A lot of Kingdom Hearts music
Yeah.
is anime intro. Like that's gonna do it for Frame Trap. Super short episode. Easy breezy.
Not short, efficient.
Efficient. Juicy.
Yeah.
Tender episode of Frame Trap. As always, love having Brad and Huber on the show. Thank you both so much. If you want to send an email in to Frame Trap, the address is askeasyallies@gmail.com. One more time, that is askeasyallies@gmail.com. Until next time.